Warp's World Reconstructuring has taken a long time to release. And we're not there yet, but we do have a new announcement on what the beta was like, what they're working on, what their issues were, and what's up in the future. And one of them is a 6th guild slot. So let's get into it. So right turn from this, and let's see what this is. So we have this huge post. Actually, I'm not gonna read it completely. You can definitely, I'll leave it in the description so you guys can see it. I'll just talk a little bit about it, more or less what happened. Summarize a little bit. I have my notes on the other side of the screen. You can't see it. Wait. Yeah, you can. No, you can. But I'm just gonna move them here, so I read them to you. Okay, there you go. So, first, they talk about how the history of this beta and how they had a lot of issues at the start of it. First of them, they talk about how when they started the beta, the last beta, the EU teams were not actually there. When people got in EU for the beta, everyone was in the previous beta's teams. It wasn't updated, so I had to essentially fix this overall for everyone to, when that joined in later on, this wouldn't happen to them. But they also realized that the people that had this issue before and they already logged in still would have this issue. So they had to go in and found these players specifically and fix them for them. The problem was that at the end of when they actually were able to fix this, it was already too late. Most people had logged off by then, as European times are a bit later on the day than NA, and of course the developers for Guild Wars 2 are in NA. So when they were done and they were everything was fixed, most people already went to sleep. So it was it didn't start with in the best way. It was nice. It was not nice. Then they had another problem where the guild selection was bugged and would not report until the extra day. So let's say that for example, on Thursday you would pick one team, it would not work until a day after that instead of instantly, which made it so a lot of people got got into the wrong teams and everything, which kind of sucked. That being said, they fixed some of those issues, and they got actually they fixed apparently everything, and they also put some safeguards so it doesn't happen again. Of course, all of these things, it's kind of hard to, and this you'll see this over and over in this post and in this kind of in the world of Reconstructuring. But there's a lot of bugs and weird things that happen that they can't really predict. As obviously everything should be working correctly. But sometimes, in a few exceptions, with certain interactions, things don't work, and then they have to find a way for them to be fixed and change things so those interactions don't happen and stuff like that, right? Which is very hard to track unless you have a beta, and that's why, honestly, this is the beta has helped so much for this work for this event, this new system to work, right? They also had some other issues that were rarely happened, and they're still being investigated. Yeah, they also talk about some of their systems had a method of removing guilds and players for the team creation data if they don't participate in Warp's World for an extended period, probably to make it so they people that they're not gonna play don't interfere with the data and the balance of these players, right, of the other players that are actually playing all the time. Normally, this wouldn't affect you if you have a Warp's World guild selected, as it is very likely someone else that selected that guild has played Warp's World recently. If no one with the guild selected has played recently, everyone in it gets sorted as a solo player, and they're looking into a solution for this so it doesn't really so they're even if these players do exist, the balance doesn't really get every server and every guild and every world gets the correct placements and the correct balance, so there's no an insane amount of guilds that have only solo players and stuff like this, right? They also talk about another issue that they had when the region changes were kind of they were kind of fucked. They were not working correctly. If you were to travel from NA to EU during the beta, this would work. But then when you would, let's say that you wanted to come back to NA afterwards, you would get stuck in the previous EU alliance or world that you were at before. So. They found a way to fix this, but yeah, of course, that was another issue they had. What else do we have here? They also talk about, thanking a lot of people that worked a lot on this, on this beta. They essentially say Ruby and Roy and the amazing members of their customer service team who spent a lot of time getting players manually moved to the right teams to minimize the impact of these issues. This is the first beta for which we had a proper solution for manually changing teams, and we certainly put it through and rigorous live testing. So essentially, all of these problems that they had, they were like, okay, we're gonna have to fix this, in the moment. As we don't actually have an automatic way of fixing these problems, so we're gonna have to do it manually. I hope, of course, and I'm sure that they will want this as well, that they find ways for this issues to not happen, or if they do happen, it's very, very easy to fix. As honestly, imagine if every relink, every relink essentially, when this system actually applies, imagine if every time they would have to have an insane amount of people working on all of the people that have issues. It would not be very good. It would not be a very good way, time investment. It would be not worth it, honestly. And I do think, and I do appreciate a lot of these comments and everything, and of course how much effort they're putting into world reconstructing. And I do think it's a good system. Actually, I know a lot of people disagree, but ideally it won't be a system that requires insane amount of management literally all the time. Servers, relinks right now, they work pretty, sure, they're not perfect, but they work pretty easily right now. I doubt that they have a lot of issues with that. I'm sure sometimes something goes wrong, but I bet that they don't, they're not stuck there, fixing everything all the time, right? But I do appreciate it, and I think, honestly, sometimes you gotta invest time into making a new system that maybe will have some issues at the start, but eventually it'll work out better at the end. They also talk about the queue system problem. That is honestly one of the biggest ones. As I said here, the dreaded queue issue or map is full error stuck again during this beta. With increased population due to the very popular War vs. Wall Rush and World Reconstruction beta, we saw occurrences and reports of these issues skyrocket. While this is a sort of a known quantity and ongoing investigation in War vs. World, we did find some new variations of this issue that are specific to the World Reconstruction system. The team is exploring why that might be and seeing if it can inform the larger queue issue investigation as well. So it does seem like, because of course the queues, they happen a lot on the World Reconstruction beta, they happen way more than usual, and honestly it's and as we're going to talk about later, it seems like this is going to be the biggest problem with the betas itself and with the World Reconstructing system overall. Unless they fix this problem, they probably won't really enable anything new, and they just keep it as it is, because it's such a big problem to make a huge queue and then at the end just it bugging out and wasting your complete night. They probably don't want to enable any increase of this bug, until they are sure that they can fix it, and they don't want to risk anything, right? They also had some UI issues. Teams' names could be incorrect on the War vs. World missed war panel. Players could be unable to join War vs. World via the UI or portals. This could be fixed by relogging, but it's kind of annoying to have to do it every time, and of course some people don't know that, so they needed to fix it, of course. Invisible status would not... there was also another problem, that invisible status would not show your UI and War vs. World guild. So if you want to invisible on your thing so people don't see you're online, it would just not show you anything, which is very bad. Of course, it was just a visual bug, but it would make people pick the wrong decision on where to go and everything. So they are, it seems like they say that they are prepared to fix them. I'm guessing the reason why they say this is because they can't really fix it, because the systems that are that enable this bug to happen are in the World vs. World Reconstructing beta, right? So unless we are in a beta, we can't really test the fix or not, which is kind of annoying, right? But this is why the betas exist in the first place. They also talk about the feedback and what people didn't like about the beta. They talk about some matchups and time zones feeling unbalanced and unorganized, and they talk about the fact that this is honestly the biggest, most important thing about the World Reconstruction beta, knowing that the algorithms that put people into different worlds work correctly and make it so everything is balanced. They talk about it was a mixed experience, so some of the servers were very well balanced in terms of time zones and people, playing the game and it feeling very alive, but some of them weren't, and they're really trying to figure out a way to make this way better, because that's honestly the biggest advantage of world versus world reconstructing, for the system to do it by itself instead of people doing it on their own and having insanely populated servers while having other servers that are completely dead, right? I think it's nice, and I think when I played, at least, it felt very okay. But of course, I'm sure that some people didn't have that experience, and I hope that they find a good way of doing this, right? And they also talk about language barriers. So of course, and actually I was kind of surprised that EU had this much of an issue, but most people in EU do speak a different country. I always had the impression that a lot of EU people would know English as well, so they would be able to communicate with people in different servers and different worlds and everything. But it seems to have been a very big problem in the world versus world reconstructing, as people that spoke one language wouldn't speak the other one and they couldn't communicate. And in world versus world, that is super important, right? It seems like in NA it wasn't that much an issue, and I'm guessing it's because Latin American countries like mine, at least, they do speak a good amount of English, or at least kind of understand it. So it ends up being kind of okay. But yeah, because EU has so many different languages, it probably must have been a big problem, and they're investigating ways to mitigate this issue. Hopefully, maybe they get some sort of like alliances and maybe some sort of like, I guess that would be nice, like you can put the language of your guild in an option somewhere, and that way the server will say, okay, I'm gonna go to a Spanish server, I'm gonna go to an Italian server or whatever. I do think it's kind of nice to have a little bit of cross pollination, yes, in between these things, but not too much, of course, because you do need to communicate. But it's nice to see some other people speaking different languages, as long as, of course, they can actually understand you back, right? But yeah, the next one is about loss of server communities. I think I've heard that a lot. People kind of missing the fact that they have that they play with the server that I played with 10 years ago, right? But I do think this is a thing that it comes with alliances. It comes with world reconstructing. If you want a new system that works differently than servers, this is just what's gonna happen. The servers communities will be lost until a certain extent, but I do think you can bring them back, right? You can definitely move them to the new system, right? If you really do have a good community in your server, regardless of which one it is, it shouldn't be too hard to get them into a guild and play with them on the World vs. World beta. Of course, you're no longer gonna be Maguma or Fort Aspenwood or whatever, but you can nominate whatever you want, and you can bring your community with and make it even more of a, yeah, sure, it might not be like as big, right, but it will be more, I don't know, more meaningful, I think, having everyone in the same guild, just talking to each other and hanging out. Yeah, something is sacrificed, but something is won as well. Having a more centric, more focused community might be good for the game, and of course, it will not create this insanely huge servers where everyone goes to and leaves other servers completely dead. I do think it is the correct way to do that. All right. They also talk about queues. Yeah, queues are bad, and they talk about the fact that, well, of course, there's a few reasons of why they were so bad, specifically in the World vs. World Rush event in the beta. But they also talk about the fact that after those events were done, the queues will still be there, probably because although those people probably liked World vs. World and they wanted to keep playing. That being said, they said that the queue bug, for the bug that affects the queue, where you have to stay there forever and then at the end the queue just resets, definitely doesn't help with this, as people are continuously queuing over and over again. People AFK, whether for them to get more rewards because they can just wait for the pips to happen, or because they don't want to be, for example, let's say that I queued him for like, I don't know, 1 hour and whatever, and just as that happens, as I get into the map, I know that I have to go, I don't know, get a pizza or whatever. I already ordered it and I'm gonna go pick it up. They might just, put auto run somewhere and just run it, AFK for 30 minutes until they go back and play the game, right? And this is obviously a vicious cycle, as they say here, as the people, that the reason why they do that is because they don't want to get into the queue again. But of course, it's not a good thing, right? It's not a good thing, right? And of course, Yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah, that's the Q meme. That's what it is. So yeah, hopefully it gets fixed. Hopefully they find a good way of doing it. And it is something that they're looking on, right? They're looking after. They also talk about some fun facts, which are kind of funny. They're pretty good. During the World Reconstruction beta, they were able to pay special attention to commanders and saw a lot of extra people tagging up. Unique commanders 6,236. Now this doesn't. I don't know what this means. Does it mean that there's 6,200 new commanders, or there were only 6,200 unique commanders? That's a big amount of commanders, by the way. That's an insane amount. That being said, I can't really tell how many people would they usually get in other events, right? So I can't really compare it too much. Same thing for here. Commanders were tagged up for an average of 4.7 hours during the beta. That's pretty nice. But how much is that? Like, how much is that compared to normally? Average weekly commanding hours increased by approximately 26% during this beta. That is actually very, very cool, and I'm happy that people were playing. But then again, is that because of the beta, or is that because of the rewards that the beta had? I'm not really sure about that one. But it does seem positive, so I'm happy with it. Also, they talk about a bug that, at some point made it so you couldn't really glide for like a week, I think it was, because one of the gem store backpacks was, it was bugged. And they talk about the fact that 35,000 people died of fall damage while gliding was disabled. And this averaged to 5,300 falling deaths per day. A 94% increase over the normal daily average. So of course people didn't remember that they couldn't glide, so they would just try it, jump off, think they were gonna glide, and just fall to their death. Oh, there you go. Pretty sad, okay, but kind of funny, okay? Then they talk about they're gonna focus on next time. They're gonna focus on adding new team creation and next lockout deadline for guild versus and war versus wall panels. So a better one and an easier one to actually tell when is the next lockout. This is the war versus guild you're going for, and because some people would just forget. Oh fuck, the World Reconstructing is happening next week, and I didn't sign up on my guild. Fuck, that sucks. Very important, right? Adding guild roster indications for players who have chosen the currently viewed guild as their war versus wall guild. Very nice to see where my teammates in my guild, in which alliance they are. Very nice. Making the war versus wall team selection panel information visible, but inactive when you have an assigned team. Allowing players to see what teams their contacts and guilds are on. Yeah, pretty cool. I like that as well. Very, very nice. They're also adding some API changes, so you can track in the API some of this information from the War vs. World Reconstructuring stuff. So very, very cool. They also talk about, and this is honestly a great thing, a 6th guild slot. Many players were frustrated by the feeling of losing a guild slot to properly organize in the War Reconstructing system. We always want to encourage players to build long-lasting and meaningful communities in our games, and this made that more difficult. To remedy that, we have decided to add a 6th guild slot when World Reconstruction is turned on full time. This new guild slot will have a normal guild functions, and it will be available to all players regardless of their War vs. World participation. Very nice. I had this issue as well when I wanted to invite people to our War vs. World guild, and we did not have a lot of, it was a bit, it was horrible because everyone wanted to join, but everyone was like, oh my god, I don't have another guild, so I can't join you, Darren, I'm sorry. And it really sucked. So this will honestly help us so much, and I'm glad that they're doing that. I would really love as well that they did it in, you could almost merge guilds together for War vs. World, like both of them are going to the same alliance. That would be awesome, but that does seem a bit it doesn't seem like it's possible right now, because we have a friends guild, Zera, where we mostly do War vs. World, and I also have my Zero guild that I do things with T-Pun and everything, but they're both different, and we do War vs. World in the same server right now, so it kind of sucks that when the War vs. World Reconstruction beta happens, I'm gonna essentially have to tell everyone in Zero that wants to participate in War vs. World to join Zera just to queue up with us, and that's gonna sucks. That kind of sucks. Hopefully this gets fixed by they find a way to for this to not be an issue eventually, but hopefully for the next beta. But we'll see. I hope they listen to this, and hopefully they figure it out way. They also talk about region transfers, and they're gonna make it 500 gems flat for forever, right? Which is pretty cool. So now you're gonna be able to change regions for 500 gems instead of the not flat version, the adaptable version, depending on which server had more people on or whatever. This is probably because the world reconstruction is going to be way more balanced, so transferring regions should be... Oh wait, they're talking about regions, not worlds, my bad. They're talking about regions, so going from NA or EU is going to be just 500 gems, which is super cool actually, because that way, look, I love playing on EU, and I can't play a lot of times because I'm not partner, and I want to play with you guys that are in EU, but I can't. So, and paying for that is very expensive. But with World vs. World Reconstructing Beta, well, or the just full system, it's just gonna cost 500 gems, which is super, super cool. It's not that much gold, and I can just go play, for one day to EU, do something there, and then just come back and be okay with it. That sounds pretty nice, I think. They also talk about the next beta, and this is very, very interesting. While the beta was mostly a major success for the team, we are concerned about the new version of the queue issue we've discovered, particularly the evidence that world reconstructuring is worsening it. With the map is full error being such an extremely negative player experience, we aren't comfortable enabling the system full-time before we resolve it. Investigating this issue is the #1 priority of the world reconstructing team, but we don't have an expected timeline to solve this right now. We'll share more information on the issue when we can. So it seems like it's a very, very hard issue to solve, and once they fix it, another issue comes out, and it's very hard, right? And until they fix it, they're not gonna put us through world reconstructing, and everyone being very sad the fact that they can't actually use it. I can actually play it. Once we find a solution to this queue issue, we'll have a clearer picture of what the next step is for returning world reconstruction on full time. Ideally, the next time we turn on world reconstructing, it will stay on. So essentially, they're saying, hopefully, when we solve this issue, we just keep world reconstructing instantly forever, right? And we just release it, right? But until that happens, they can't, which makes sense. Of course, they could say like, we fixed it and world reconstructing is coming in forever, but then they put it in and the bug comes back somehow, and then we're sad because, well, they're gonna have to be like, okay guys, we're gonna have to go back and fix it again, which will be very sad. And then they say thank you for everyone to participating in it, and they're very excited to to tell us what's coming next. But until then, this is kind of the post. They're saying that the top priority now is new world reconstruction map is full error investigation and fixing. Adding a next lookup deadline timer to the in-game UI, very, very good, and add the 6th guild slot. The future goals, but with no timeline, is going to be the API integrations for Warpers World and World Reconstructing information, additional guild and Warpers World interface improvements, better mixed language team experience, and improved detection of inactive players. Honestly, I think overall, everything that they're trying to do here is actually pretty positive. I just hope that they do it very fast, because we have been waiting for a long time for this. And I understand it's very hard, and I understand it kind of sucks, because this is a system that already exists in the game, and trying to like fix everything while changing everything at the same time is super hard for a game that has been so been played for so long, and a system and a mode that has been played for so long. So doing all these things without a beta is honestly impossible, right? So, and some might say like, oh, just release it or don't release it at all. But to be honest, Warpers World does have a lot of issues, even though it's a good game mode, and a lot of these issues are being fixed. Well, ideally with the system, and if it doesn't, well, I guess they'll have to go back and well, find another way of fixing it. But I really hope that they find ways to fix this very soon. I really, the biggest one that really makes me sad is the map is full error. That one is just annoying, right? Because like I'm bad that they're like, fuck, this sucks and we can't fix it, and it's making everything else super, super bad, and not being able to like actually put this new system into fruition. Because like most of the things here, yes, they're nice and they're good quality of life for the new system, but you probably could have the new system without them. This one, not so much. I do think maybe the better mixed language team experience is probably very important, right? The other ones, they're definitely important, but not so much. But tell me what you guys think. If you think this was positive, if you think it was negative, if you don't want the wall reconstructing at all, if you think it's gonna be fun, just tell me anything you, everything. I wanna know. I wanna know what the community is thinking about. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. Go to my twitch.tv/us to watch me on stream to talk about these issues. Go to my Discord to hang out off stream and have big events. We're probably gonna do some raid trading tonight, actually, and go to my Patreon if you want to support me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you guys around. Love you all. Bye bye.